You're not weak because you were fooled. You're not foolish because you trusted someone who misled you. It happens to the smartest, the strongest, the kindest. Why? Because not all traps look like traps. Some look like opportunities. Some feel like peace. Some even come wrapped in kindness. What you saw was what they wanted you to see. What was hidden was the real intention. And that is the danger of deception in plain sight. Today, I want to help you see it before it happens again. Not to make you suspicious, but to make you clear-eyed. What is deception in plain sight? Deception in plain sight isn't obvious. It doesn't shout. It doesn't break in. It walks calmly through the front door. Wearing something familiar, it works best when it feels natural. When it looks like a gift, a friend, a favor, it doesn't force you. It invites you, and it lets you open the door yourself. It is belief, turned quietly against you. Let me show you how this has happened, not just in the digital age, but across centuries of war, leadership, and everyday decision-making. The Trojan Horse, a gift that ended a war, 12th century BCE, Troy. The war between the Greeks and the Trojans had lasted for 10 long years. 10 years of bloodshed, of siege, of loss, and still, the gates of Troy held strong. The Trojans were tired, but proud. Their city had never been breached. Behind those towering walls, they believed themselves invincible. Then one morning, the enemy was gone. The Greek camps were empty. Their ships had vanished. And in their place, left at the gates, stood a massive wooden horse, silent, still, beautifully crafted. With it, a message, a gift to Athena, a sign of peace, a token of surrender. The Trojans debated. Some were suspicious. Laocoon, a priest, warned, "Beware of Greeks, even when they bring gifts." But the people were exhausted. They wanted peace. They wanted closure. And so, they convinced themselves the war was over. They pulled the horse inside the city walls. They celebrated, sang, drank. Finally, they slept. But inside the horse, Greek warriors were waiting. That night, as Troy lay silent in celebration, the hidden soldiers crept out, opened the city gates, and let the full Greek army, which had only pretended to sail away, flood in. By dawn, Troy was burning. The Greeks didn't conquer the city. They made the Trojans invite them in. The greatest danger wasn't outside the gates. It was already inside, wrapped in beauty and hope. They thought they were being given peace. But what they received was destruction, disguised as a gift. That is deception in plain sight. Some traps are built with wood and wheels. Others are built with trust. What happens when the person being misled isn't a city, but a king? And the danger isn't invasion, but hesitation? Let me take you east, to the court of an emperor whose fear clouded his clarity, and a general who moved gently but with precision. The emperor who feared the sea, 7th century CE, Tang Dynasty, China. Shimin, also known as Emperor Taizong of Tang, was one of the greatest rulers in Chinese history. Old in battle, wise in governance. But even great men have their shadows. His fear was the sea. No matter how crucial a campaign might be, he refused to cross open waters. He had seen others drown. He distrusted ships. Even when strategy demanded it, he stayed put. But his general, Zhu Rengui, saw what was at stake. He knew confronting the emperor directly would only deepen the fear. So instead, he designed a different path. Not confrontation, but comfort. Not orders, but hospitality. One morning, Zhu Rengui invited the emperor to a floating banquet. No soldiers, no strategy, just wine, music, and laughter. The emperor accepted. It felt safe. The feast was joyful. The emperor relaxed, and slowly the boat began to drift. By the time he realized, they were already in open water. Too late to turn back. And so, he gave the command to proceed. His fear didn't disappear, but his resistance had already been bypassed through comfort, not command. This, too, is deception in plain sight, not built on lies, but on carefully arranged emotion. But deception didn't disappear with kings and empires. It evolved. Today, it wears your colleague's voice. It looks like a familiar video call, and it costs millions without ever breaching a firewall. Aroop's $25 million deepfake deception. 2024. Aroop's Hong Kong office in the past, deception wore armor. Today, it wears a suit and speaks with a familiar voice on a video call. In early 2024, Aroop, a global engineering firm based in London, became the target of one of the most sophisticated frauds ever recorded. It began with a message, an email that appeared to come from the company's chief financial officer in the UK. The content? A confidential transaction. Sensitive, time-critical. Then came a video meeting. On the screen appeared the CFO. Other senior colleagues joined. They looked and sounded exactly as they should. Their faces moved naturally. Their voices carried weight and familiarity. But none of them were real. It was a deepfake, generated using artificial intelligence, built from public images, interviews, and online content. A digital performance, designed to deceive. The employee on the other end believed what he saw. He transferred 15 payments, totaling US $25 million, to accounts controlled by international scammers. There were no alarms, no viruses, no system breaches. It wasn't technology that failed. It was trust that was hijacked. This is the new shape of deception in plain sight. It doesn't come disguised as something strange. It comes disguised as what you already believe. What made it powerful wasn't just the visuals. It was the combination of elements. The urgency of the task, the familiarity of the faces, the formality of the setting, the authority of those impersonated. Everything was crafted to keep the target in obedience, not observation. This was not hacking. It was invitation in pixels and performance. That's modern deception in plain sight. A digital Trojan horse, so convincing. It needed no forced entry. So if deception can look this real, if it can sound this familiar, how can any of us protect ourselves? The answer isn't paranoia. It's presence. Let me give you 4 quiet habits to keep you grounded. 1. Pause when it feels too smooth. If everything feels too perfect, too fast, too easy, slow down. Ask, why is this so frictionless? 2. Watch what you want to believe. The strongest deception feeds desire, not fear. If you really want it to be true, that's when to question it most. 3. Inspect comfort. Sudden comfort, especially in tense moments, is sometimes a mask. Ask, is this peace or persuasion? 4. Stay curious, not paranoid. You don't need fear, you need awareness. Curiosity is your compass. It helps you see beneath the obvious. What looks safe may not be. What feels real may be designed. Here are 4 patterns that often warn of deception hiding in plain sight. 1. Too generous, too fast. Every perfect offer deserves a second look. 2. False urgency. Act now often means don't think. 3. Emotional shortcutting. If you're reacting before you're reasoning, slow down. 4. Missing context. What's not being said? What's being skipped? Deception works best when we stop paying attention. So don't stop paying attention. When you start seeing clearly, you don't have to live in fear. But you can no longer afford to walk blind. You don't need to question everything. But you must start noticing more. Because the moment you learn to see past the surface, the trap loses its shape. And the next time they try to fool you, they won't succeed. If these words have reached you in a moment you needed them most, I hope you'll let them sit with you. Let them take root, not as answers, but as quiet companions. These are more than lessons from the past. They are tools for living, for understanding yourself, others, and the world around you. Take what resonates. Leave what doesn't. Return when you're ready. You don't need to change everything overnight. Sometimes wisdom works slowly, like water shaping stone. Just begin, wherever you are.